In today's video, we're putting our two-part Lego car to the test in the gap crossing challenge to take down some Lego minifigures.
Let's jump right into the first round.
Fight!
Oh no, just as the game starts, the car runs into trouble. Let's get back on track. This time, the car crosses the gap and takes down all the targets. Let's watch that move again. So quick and powerful. Now on to level 2. The gap is wider and oh no, the car has fallen into the abyss. Let's give it another shot.
What a shame. It still can't make it across. One more try. Come on, it's almost there. After several attempts, the car finally wipes out all the targets ahead. Next up is the third challenge. This time, the gap is pretty large. Do you think the car can handle it? Nope, it's a total fail this time. Moving on to the fourth challenge. The car lands and collides with the Lego minifigures, but doesn't succeed. Let's try again. Amazing. This time, the car lands safely and smoothly completes the mission. What do you think of today's challenges? Don't forget to share your thoughts with us.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will see a Lego car overcome the challenge of carrying a wooden block. Will it succeed or will it struggle? Let's find out. Next up is the build. Let's take a behind-the-scenes look at how we built this Lego car step by step. First, we built a solid wheel system, making sure the axles were properly aligned for smooth movement. The wheels had to be strong and well-balanced to handle both the weight and the terrain. Next, we constructed a strong flat base. This would act as the cargo area where the wooden sticks would be placed. It needed to be wide and stable enough to hold the load without tipping over. After some fine-tuning and adjustments, it was finally ready for the real challenge. Let's see how well it performs when it takes on the wooden load test. And now it's time for the first challenge. Our Lego transport vehicle will attempt to carry a heavy wooden plank weighing 1,300 grams. That's quite a load for a build made entirely from
ready?
Lego. It looks like this weight isn't much of a problem at all for our Lego vehicle. It's moving forward smoothly, staying balanced, and showing no signs of strain. Challenge number 1 completed with ease. All right, moving on to challenge number 2. This time, the Lego transport vehicle will face a much tougher task, carrying a massive wooden plank weighing 4,000 grams. That's over 3 times heavier than the previous load. And once again, it's handling the weight like a champ. Despite the 4,000-gram load, the vehicle stays completely stable. Challenge number 2, completed effortlessly. On to challenge number 3, this time with a heavy 6,500-gram wooden load. But once again, the Lego vehicle keeps its cool. No shaking, no slowing down. It rolls to the finish line just as smoothly as before. Another easy win. Challenge number 4, 9,000-gram load. With this heavy load, the wheels started to struggle a bit, but that didn't stop the Lego vehicle. It kept going and still finished the challenge successfully. Challenge number 5, a massive 12,000-gram load. With this massive load, the vehicle is clearly struggling. Oh no, it looks like one of the axles has snapped and the wheels are starting to deform. But somehow, with sheer determination, it keeps going. Against all odds, it powers through and crosses the finish line in dramatic fashion. Challenge number 6, a crushing 15,500-gram load. It keeps going, but oh no! Just before the finish line, the wooden load collapses. Our tech team has stepped in to replace the damaged axle and wheels. Now the vehicle is back on its wheel, and let's see if it can continue the challenge. All right, the vehicle is back in action. Let's return to the 15,500-gram challenge and see if it can finish what it started. Here we go. Amazing! This time it powers through the 15,500-gram load with no trouble. Smooth, steady, and unstoppable. What a comeback! Challenge, a staggering 17,000-gram load. The wheels show slight deformation under the massive weight, but it doesn't stop the vehicle. It rolls through the final challenge with surprising ease. Let's continue with the 20,000-gram challenge. A Lego-built vehicle carrying a 20-kilogram load? That's seriously impressive. Who would have thought tiny bricks could handle such a massive task? Truly a remarkable feat. Oh no! Well, what's happening? The vehicle is slowing down and it's tipping over. Looks like the 20-kilogram load was just too much this time. This load was just too much. The vehicle couldn't handle the weight and it failed the challenge. Welcome to my channel. Today, let's find out how our custom Lego vehicles take on the ultimate slime challenge. Let's build our first slime challenger, a Lego car with 4 black wheels. Time to see if it can make it through the gooey mess. And just like that, it cruises through the slime with ease. Nothing seems to slow this one down. Next up, the Lego vehicle with 2 paddle wheels. Let's see how it handles the sticky slime challenge. Uh-oh, the slime sticks to the paddles, slowing it down, and it fails to complete the challenge. Our next slime challenger is a Lego car equipped with 4 gear-like wheels. Let's watch and see how it handles the challenge. Amazing! The gear wheels bite through the slime like it's nothing. No hesitation, no slowdown. It clears the challenge with ease. Next up, a unique design, a Lego car with gear wheels mounted on a square frame. Let's find out right now. It struggles at first. The slime really pushes back, but with steady traction and determination, it powers through and finishes strong. Next up, the two-step walking Lego vehicle. It doesn't roll, it walks. But can those slow, steady steps carry it through the sticky slime? Let's find out. The slime clings tight to every part of the walker. Each step becomes heavier, and finally it gives in. Unfortunately, it couldn't conquer the slime. Welcome to my channel. Today, let's see how Lego vehicles handle the ultimate test, walking the tightrope. Let's team up with the engineering crew to build the Lego vehicle for today's tightrope challenge. Get ready to see how it's designed to balance and move across the line. Now it's time for the tightrope challenge. Let's see if our Lego creation can keep its balance and make it all the way across. Amazing! It ran across the rope with ease, steady, smooth, and without a single slip. Next, the distance of the rope is 10 centimeters. Oh no! With a gap of 10 centimeters, the car struggled to keep its balance, and it went down! This time it couldn't make it through. Let's upgrade our Lego vehicle and see if it can conquer the challenge this time. Let's begin the challenge. Wow, after the upgrade, it crossed the rope with ease. What an impressive improvement. Next, the rope gap is just 5 centimeters. Oh no, the gap was just too narrow. The Lego car lost its balance and fell. It couldn't complete the challenge. The tech team is back at it. Time to upgrade the Lego car once again. Here we go. The challenge begins. Too tough. The 5 centimeter gap proved to be impossible. It fell off again. Another failure means another upgrade. Let's see what the tech team comes up with this time. Now with better upgrades, can it finally conquer the challenge? Let's find out. Oh no! After all the adjustments and improvements made by the technical team, we had high hopes for the car. But as soon as it got on the ropes, it lost balance and fell straight down. Unfortunately, even with the upgrades, it still couldn't overcome the narrow 5 centimeter gap. A tough challenge indeed!
Looking at these scenes, I'm sure you've already guessed what today's masterpiece and challenge are, right? That's right, it's a tank with a unique ball-shooting gun design. We'll start with the detailed assembly process of this tank, from attaching the wheel system with the chain tracks, to building the sturdy frame, adding the ammo grooves, and connecting the motors. Each step brings us closer to completing a powerful tank. Now, let's see how it performs in the test run. Let's dive straight into the first challenge. The tank quickly overcomes the obstacle with ease. For the second challenge, the terrain is higher, requiring the tank to put in more effort. On the first attempt, the tank got stuck and couldn't pass. But after retrying, the tank used all its strength and impressively conquered the challenge. Next, the challenge becomes even more difficult with higher obstacles. However, the tank had to give up, as it couldn't make it over. But we're not stopping there. Now we're going to test the tank's ball shooting ability. The first shot is fired and immediately destroys the target with perfect accuracy. The entire process is truly impressive. Finally, we come to the fifth challenge, where the tank has to destroy multiple targets consecutively with a single shot. All the obstacles are destroyed. Couldn't be more perfect. So, what do you think of today's product? Feel free to share your thoughts with me.
Hello everyone, today we're diving into an exciting challenge. Can a Lego car make it to the bottom of a water tank? To pull this off, I've built a series of unique elevator lifts. Let's test them out and see how each one performs. Time to build our first elevator with the help of the technical team. Let's get started. First up is elevator number 1. It features balance chains on both sides and a secure compartment to hold the Lego car in place. As it lifts the car slowly and steadily, everything stays stable. And in the end, the car reaches the bottom safely and efficiently. Moving on to our second elevator, let's find out how the team designs and builds this one. Next up is the Beltman lift elevator. While its design may appear simple and lightweight, it's surprisingly effective. The mechanism works flawlessly, smoothly lifting the Lego car to the designated position without any problems. Now it's time for the third elevator. Let's see how the team goes about building this one. Next, we tested the dual-rail elevator, designed for fast and powerful lifting. During the initial run, I noticed that the top section wasn't fully stable, which posed a potential risk. However, after a quick reinforcement, the elevator operated smoothly, successfully carrying the car to its destination. Finally, we have the Lego rope elevator. We started by building a sturdy frame with well-aligned gears and a solid base for support. Strong cables were tightly secured and connected to what I call the space elevator. After installing the motor and battery, it was time for the big moment. Watching the elevator operate smoothly and deliver the car precisely to the bottom of the water tank was incredibly satisfying.
Today, I'm taking on a unique challenge, testing the climbing and pulling abilities of various vehicles on a wooden ramp. Let's see which vehicle comes out on top by the end of the video.
First up is a vehicle with gear-like wheels. This one managed to tackle a 9-degree incline.
Next, we have the second vehicle, equipped with both gears and a chain. It did a bit better, climbing up to 10 degrees with a friction coefficient of 0.18.
The third vehicle has standard large wheels. Surprisingly, it reached a 34-degree incline with a friction coefficient of 0.67.
Moving on to the fourth vehicle with black wheels. This one showed impressive power, conquering a 40-degree incline with a friction coefficient of 0.84. The fifth vehicle has thinner wheels, but don't underestimate it. It performed nearly as well as the larger wheels. The sixth vehicle also made a strong impression with its excellent traction. The seventh vehicle has small wheels, but it still managed to climb up to 37 degrees, which is impressive for its compact size. We'll continue with the remaining vehicles from the 8th to the 9th, with the orange one standing out for its unique movement style. Here's a summary chart of the friction coefficients for each type of wheel. Which one impressed you the most? And we're not done yet. The next vehicle with large wheels has strong pulling power, but could only climb an incline below 30 degrees. Switching to the red wheels, which performed similarly to the black wheels. Finally, the small wheels with a chain track didn't do as well, managing to climb only up to 9 degrees. Thanks for watching the video. Hello everyone. Today I'm thrilled to introduce you to a series of special vehicles designed to pick up over 1,000 Lego bricks. Let's see which one can complete this task most effectively. So let's dive right in. First, we'll go through the assembly process of the first vehicle. It's equipped with 2 large adjustable claws, connected to a motor and some precision gears. After adding the wheels and connecting to the battery, the vehicle was tested and it was super fast. I had to make some adjustments to balance it out. Now it moves much more smoothly. It's time for the first challenge. This machine picks up each brick, carefully transports it to the collection point. process seems a bit slow. To speed things up, I might need to adjust the gripping mechanism or rethink the structure to improve efficiency. After a few upgrades, including sturdier handles to hold more bricks, I sent the vehicle back into the challenge. Right from the first attempt, it managed to pick up an impressive number of bricks. The vehicle continued working and by the end of the round, it had collected around 2/3 of the bricks. Now I'm switching to a new model with a different cleaning head. This one performs. Right from the start, this head showed its string, easily moving the bricks into the storage compartment. The first attempt looked promising, quick and effective. Let's keep it going. After just 3 rounds, this vehicle successfully completed the challenge, picking up all the remaining bricks and showing impressive performance. So, which design do you think was the most efficient in today's challenge? Share your thoughts below and stay tuned for more exciting LEGO experiments and designs. it.